Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. Let me tell you what this show is about. So, this is the show where we like to talk that real talk. We like to talk about things that are happening in education, employment, mental health, physical health. We've done topics on entrepreneurship, resiliency, homeschooling, disabilities, special needs. We've a lot of different topics. We covered a lot of ground. And let me tell you, today is no different. So today I have a repeat topic. I love it when I have repeat topics, you guys. I have a brand new guest, but a repeat topic. So let me tell you what that topic is. So the topic for today is it's all in the mindset, right? It's all in the mindset. Part two, right? So we are continuing this discussion about mindset, and I have a guest with me who's going to help me out. His name is Thurben James, and let me tell you, Thurben is an author. He's an aspiring with an A, aspiring entrepreneur and an investor, right? And he's a young blood too, so I love it when the young bloods get into the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring him to the stage right now. Hi, Thurben. How you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Happy Sunday to you too. All right, this is exciting. So, we are going to get into it. We're going to talk about mindset and all that good stuff. And you wrote a whole book about it, of course. So, let's get rid of I'm getting my thoughts together. Let's get right into it. So, mindset, tell us your position on that, how to get started, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So to me, what I define as mindset is just kind of your everyday approach to life, and all the challenges that come with it. And the two positions a person could have usually are going to be a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So usually, if you have a fixed mindset, you're someone who is, more fixed in your thinking, like meaning you think that your education is something that's stagnant, or how smart you are is a stagnant trait. You can't change it, you can't evolve it. Whereas a growth mindset is, as it sounds, someone who's oriented towards growth. They believe that they can grow, they believe they can change, they believe they can handle adversity when it arises.
All right, thank you so much for that. All right, so there's a difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So let's start with the growth mindset.
Mhm.
How do you achieve that? What are the steps?
Absolutely. So there's a few different ways you could go about it. One easy way is just reading books, because I truly believe if you expose yourself to new information, it just expands your worldview. That's one way. Another way is just surrounding yourself with people who already have that mindset, who maybe, for instance, you want to, I'm just going to throw an example out here. Let's say you want to be a real estate investor and you've never done it before, you don't know anyone in that space. And so you go find a person that's willing to go mentor you, or even you pay for one. And that's another way you can, expose yourself to growing in that area of your life, or any area of your life, really, like whether health, relationships, so on. And then also, just taking time to face your own current beliefs and changing them. So maybe you think, oh, I'm not that smart. Instead of saying that, you could change that belief to, I'm not as smart as I would like to be, but I can grow in this area, and so on. So those are kind of the three ways I would look at it.
Fabulous, fabulous. So now you mentioned about reading books, right?
Yep.
And it's when it comes to reading, education is the key, right? So is it any book that you read, or is it specific type of books that you read?
Definitely specific types of books. So with my book, it's called How to Read 50 Books in a Year Like a CEO, and the whole preface behind it is that I think our school system kind of does some bad things with ingraining reading because everything they make you read is, let's just be honest, it's not going to help you in everyday life once you get out of high school or college or
Well, it's not.
like most of it isn't. But I mean, unless you're in specific fields of work, then yes. But for the majority of people, let's be honest, it's not going to do anything for you, right? So definitely, I would say like more niche type books. So maybe you want to be a scientist, right? Well, obviously, you should get your hands on as many science books as possible, or even if you want to be a specific type, like maybe a physicist, then get your hands on as many physics books as possible. So it's definitely all about like what's the area of your life that you're trying to improve in, and getting books and knowledge in that specific space.
Ah, right. So so the books that you read, what kind of books are those?
Yeah, so me personally, I read a lot of self-help, personal development, business, finance, real estate, investing. Uh, Kind of those books are the realm that I'm in primarily, and a little bit of science too, because I'm a little nerd. But
So what does that tell you about your mindset? So you're saying, based on where you want to go, read the books that'll get you there. So
yep.
based on your literary choices, where are you trying to go?
Absolutely. So for me, the goal is being an entrepreneur, an investor, a real estate investor, being happily married at some point. I'm currently single at the moment, but you know, just knowing how to interact with other people in just everyday life. Just because we all have to deal with people. Doesn't matter what you do, no matter what your field of work is, we all have to learn how to deal with people. So I do read some psychology books for little things like that, and also just improving my life, financially, spiritually, the whole gamut, health, everything.
Awesome, awesome. And then, so you're trying to set your thoughts in a way that'll get you there. So to get you, you want to be an investor. So I remember from our preliminary interview, we were talking about, being financially well off, right? So you want to think like that. You want to think financially well off, right? And in doing so, you're preparing yourself for that by all the books. We also talked about surrounding yourself with the right people. Because you said your friend had a father who's a millionaire or something like that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we all need to do, if you're trying to become something you've never been, the best way to learn how to do that is from the people that are already there. So I'm constantly trying to network with millionaires, investors, you know, talking with people that are happily married, asking them questions about their relationships, how their dynamic is with their family, things like that. I definitely, as well as also just paying attention to the ones who are doing it wrong as well, because there's a lesson to be learned in that as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell us more about that. That
Um,
last.
yeah, absolutely. So I'll use a personal example. So my parents are divorced, and one of the things that I paid attention to just growing up and observing them and how they interacted. So my mother was always just really irresponsible with money, which would always put stress on my dad financially, as well as one of the mistakes they made was just getting into a relationship like too soon. So they got married after about a year. And I
Hmm.
think maybe had us, well, me, maybe a year or two after that. So they kind of just kind of shot the gun rather than if they kind of dated a little bit longer, probably wouldn't have made that choice to marry her. Just being honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Not gonna regret it or anything because I'm here out of it, but uh, but little things like that, I kind of noticed, and just little dynamics in their relationship that I didn't really resonate with. I think as parents, they were. I mean, I think they did a pretty damn good job with me. I mean, I wouldn't be here without them. So, um, you know, there's things just to pay attention to.
So, what lessons did you take from your parents' relationship? Lessons that you want to apply to your own life. What did you take from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when picking a partner, um, don't rush into anything. Take your time, get to know that person because you're gonna have to go through many seasons of life with them, and you got to go through what I consider winter, which is the tough times, and then you might go through spring where everything's all frolicky and joyful. Also, I guess I would say don't let your relationship with your spouse affect your children. Because there are some moments where it was pretty heated, and I feel like it should have been a more private conversation, if you know what I mean. Things like that. Also, uh, have a sense of grace for other people. Give them the benefit of the doubt because we all come from different places, knowledge, experiences, and the things that and are second nature to you, I probably don't know, and things like that. Just to be mindful of in your relationship, not just with your spouse, but just people in general.
All right. So where you're trying to go, right? So you want to be happily married, you want to be financial well off. So what you don't want to repeat the mistakes that your parents made, right? You want the opposite of that. So when it comes to, being happily married, you're learning what not to do,
Hmm.
right, from your parents, and then you're also learning what to do from other people, from other role models.
Hmm.
Okay. And then in terms of being financially well off, right, you're learning from other people who are financially well off, and you're picking their brains as well because you want to know, well, what did you do, so you
Yep.
can copy them, so you can replicate them and get the same result.
Hmm.
So how are you doing right now? Can I ask, what are you achieving your goals?
So in terms of my financial goals, I had recently set them, so I'm just kind of getting started with those. But for like my more personal goals, so one of the goals I had for this year was to read 100 books for the year. I've already achieved that. I actually completed that on October 1st.
Good
Um,
job. Okay.
then, yep. Next step for me is I'm looking to just improve my physical fitness right now. So for the last week or two or three, I can't remember. I don't track some things, but I've just been working out every day. And so that's one area. And then also I'm gonna be stepping up my wardrobe just to eventually attract a girlfriend into my life, just so I can get some experience in that realm. And also just building my business because recently I got my website rolling maybe a month or two ago, and I'm writing my third book as we speak. And then once I'm done with that, I'll move to my fourth book, and I'm just working on also like buying my first apartment complex as we speak as well. That's in the works.
Wow, good for you. So it sounds like you're practicing what you preach.
Yeah. I always love to speak from a place of experience. I don't like to. I'm not one of these people that like to speak from theory. I just think that's so hypocritical for me personally. Like that's just me.
Tell us more about that.
Um, yeah. So here's a famous one that I deal with a lot with people that I know. So they'll say, "Oh, I think from a place of abundance. I'm all about the team." But really, when you start working with them, everything they do is all self-centered. Everything they do is, and even how they ask and treat you is just, it shows that they don't really have you in mind. They just have an agenda and they think you can help them get there. Um, or even like they'll promise you like, "Hey, let's hang out or do a call this time," and they never show up ever, and you never hear from them when they said, "Oh, I'll reach back out to you." Months go by, years go by, never hear back from them. So I just
Mm,
keep it moving. But yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff I'll deal with. Or even someone who'll say, "Oh, I'm a real estate investor," but doesn't speak the language of a real estate investor,
mhm,
doesn't have the track record, doesn't, it just, everything about them just doesn't add up with what they're saying. So things like that I pay attention to because people's, actions speak louder than their words.
mm. Right. So you're saying, people say one thing, but they do another.
Yep.
Mm. And what's wrong with that? I mean, what's what do you think the problem is there when people do that?
It depends on the person. I think some people are malicious with it in the sense that they really are only about themselves and could care less who they harm in the process. I think some other people are just, they just don't know that they're coming off that way. Um, and it's just kind of, you just got to know the person, because the ones who are making a mistake without knowing it and you point it out to them, they actually will try to fix it. Whereas with other people, they just kind of go MIA, just missing in action, and you never hear from those folks usually, um, or they end up having a reputation for someone who's not trustworthy, and I can't stand those type of people personally,
Mm,
just because I'm a guy about my word. Like if I tell you I'm gonna show up at XYZ time, unless something happens, which I'm usually gonna tell you, but 99.99% of the time, if I tell you something, it's gonna happen. That's just the kind of person I am. Just because I want to have a stellar reputation with myself, because I do not trust people, and nor should anyone trust someone that doesn't hold to their word. That's just my belief.
and that's not something. And you want, well, what am I trying to say? You want better for yourself, right? So you want to practice good morals and good behaviors, and
Mhm.
something that you're putting good out into the universe, right? So you can get that back.
Yeah, absolutely. And funny enough, the people I have in my life that I consistently talk to are also like me. I just truly believe like attracts like in people. So if you're a good person, you're probably hanging out with other good people. That would be my assumption. Or if you're a bad person, I'm assuming you also hang out with bad people. So that's just kind of part of human nature, because otherwise, I feel like we naturally repel people away from us that don't fit. I think it just happens naturally because maybe you get these stories all the time. Good girlfriend, bad boyfriend, they go south. Boyfriend cheats on her, girlfriend is loyal and faithful, or vice versa. Male's loyal, but she's doing her thing out in the streets, and you
Hmm.
know, just and that eventually ends. I think that's just part of human nature, personally.
Right. And it's sort of like you you tend to, I guess we as people, like, we tend to attract um what we put out. And so you get a sense of who you are by the company you keep, right? I think that's like a famous proverb somewhere. So you're trying to keep the, like, good people around you, people who think like you, right? And going back to what we said earlier, right? There's somewhere you're trying to go, so you want to put the people around you that'll help you get to where you want to go.
Hmm.
And then you want to get rid of the people that get you away from those goals.
Yep.
All right, all right. So going back to the books, right? So I know this may sound like a silly question, but why is reading so important?
I don't think it's a silly question, but I think it's a great question. So something I've learned just by making my book and just kind of studying reading, like if you really look back at it, like historically, all the greatest people in history have been like great thinkers, philosophers, uh, people with high ethical, morals, and generally the trend with them is that they've been reading a lot. And even with the most successful people today, even you think of a guy like Elon Musk, Barack Obama, Bill Gates, all these great entrepreneurs, they're all readers. People don't like pay attention to that. And I think too, like I mentioned earlier, if you're exposed to more knowledge, then you automatically have an advantage over someone who doesn't have that same knowledge. Like and even I'll use myself as an author. Like there are things I know in the publishing process that the normal person doesn't know. They only probably think of just traditional publishing, and um,
Mhm.
there's also the option for self-publishing, and there's a way to do it completely free. But most people might think, oh, it takes maybe thousands of dollars to get your own book made. No, it doesn't. I mean, it's all about like that knowledge, that that edge, and that's why I think reading is important. And even to go back to another historical reference, I can't remember the civilization that did it, but there was one civilization that had burned all of the books from a library, that they had thousands and thousands upon books in there, and they burned it because they understood that you take away the knowledge and that goes to the people, then you can basically program them to do whatever you want them to do. So, because once you have knowledge and you can think for yourself, no one can stop you but you, of course.
Interesting, interesting. So you bring up an interesting point, which is, the power of knowledge and the power of education, and that the 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 burning of books, and even with what's going on in the world with, critical race theory and banning books and stuff, it's like you're taking away knowledge and you're taking away history, and by doing that it's easier to control people because they don't know what's going on. And so if they don't know what's going on, they're going to believe the next charismatic person, right? So it's not so much about um knowing it. It's believing the next charming person that's trying to trick you. So if you have that knowledge, right, and you have that education, then you're not so easily tricked by a charming person.
Absolutely, and I will also mention one thing. I don't know what anything about critical race theory. I don't watch the news at all. I don't. I try to stay out. Like I kind of think of the rest of the world as a matrix, just because I don't want to be programmed to think like everybody else. And the reason I know that I think differently than other people is I'll have moments where I say things to other people and that offends them, and to me, I realize that they have social constructs that I don't have. Just because I've kind of led to my own thinking just by reading for myself, paying attention to the world, and just kind of having an intuitive sense of myself. So that's kind of one thing I just thought to mention.
That's okay. It's pretty common, for for people for people your age. But a lot of this, or anyone really, not no attack on you, um, but just even if just knowing like history, not even if you don't really pay attention to the news, right? You know what happens in history, right? And unfortunately, history tends to repeat itself because we never learn. Um, what happens in history with like burning of books is like you don't know what's going on and you don't know history. So, what you're trying to do is you're trying to read all the books, right? You're trying to know all the secrets, right? Um, so you're because you want to do what like the millionaires are trying to do.
Yep. Yeah, I would also even say that I would say that certain things really aren't secrets, and um I'll and I have like a little slightly counterintuitive view on things, and just traditional thinking. So I personally think people don't need to study history.
Mhm.
I rather instead just study good ethical morals that have been timeless values, because think about these wars that we've had over the centuries and so on. If we all just practice great moral values, we wouldn't have these problems that we have in our world. Just my little 2 cents, but yeah.
That's interesting. That's something I've never heard of before. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So I'll put it to you like this, right? So let's say, well, we'll use the millionaire example, right?
Hmm.
Millionaires are their secrets aren't secrets. Like you could go ask them. Many millionaires are pretty open to telling you about their problems, to some of the things they do to have created their wealth. And also it just comes down to like paying attention. I think not many people actually pay attention to the world around them. Like, what is it that middle class people are doing to stay middle class? What is it that poor people are doing to stay poor? And then look at those things, don't do them, and then go find out what are the millionaires doing. What types of habits do they have? What type of values do they have? How do they view the world with their mindset? Those are the things that anybody could study. I don't care where you're from. You could be from Asia, you could be purple. If you just studied great values, you'd be set for life. It doesn't matter, if you're the smartest cat on earth or not. It's just great values have outstood this, testament of time. And they've always created great people.
That's interesting. You said something controversial there. So now let me ask you. So what do you say to the people that say, I'm poor because of you know, of my race, and people are out to get me because of my race or my ethnicity, or I'm middle class because I can't afford to live anywhere else, or I have
Mindset.
to. What do you say to those people that say like, yeah, I could do all that, but there's these outside forces that
The only
prevent me
for-
from doing that?
the only force stopping most people is themselves. The way you think, the idea that, oh, I'm black, I must be poor. No, there are wealthy black people out there. And so obviously that logic can't work. It's the area I live in. Well, statistically, millionaires, most of them actually live in normal neighborhoods. They dress like you and I. They don't have any. They're most millionaires, statistically speaking, are not these people driving around in Ferraris and Lamborghinis, dressed in Gucci and Louis. No, they look like normal people. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously it's not the neighborhood you're in. And then also, it's the economy. And no, the economy is you. It's based on your decisions, your mindset. What are you doing to add value to the world? People that are millionaires aren't just living in a vacuum, just, oh, I go to my job, I come home, and
Mm-hmm.
we're done. No, it's okay, I do my job, now I go add value to the marketplace by doing some other things. I'm going to go invest. I'm going to maybe pick up a second job. Maybe I'm going to go build a business with my part time life, or I'm going to go transition into getting a business or work somewhere where I can get equity so I can set myself up for freedom. So I don't want to hear excuses. Like, there are people who have the exact same circumstances as you or worse and are successful, so it's obviously you. It's nothing else. I don't want to hear any excuses from somebody, cuz give me an excuse, I guarantee you there's someone that has the exact same shoes, if not worse, and is successful. It might take you a minute to get there, but still there are people that are in your shoes that are successful. So it's only on you. If you want to keep believing what you're believing, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
keep getting what you've been getting. So, you just got to start here. All success, all wealth, all changes start here.
Start in the minds. All right, all right, all right. So so the message that you're sharing right now, is it for people your age? Is it for adults? Can anyone do it? Can
Anyone.
anyone do? We didn't even talk about the fixed mindset. We've been on the growth part, but do you think can anyone do it at any age?
Absolutely. I mean, Colonel Sanders, the guy who started KFC, was in his 60s and went and built, multi-million dollar business that's still around. There are people. I know a guy personally. He's 21 years old, already a millionaire, just doing his thing. Made the Forbes list. Um, you know, any age you can be successful. It doesn't matter. There are people in their 80s. I know a multimillionaire in his 80s, just chugging along, got more energy than most young people, to be quite honest. So you can be successful at any age, with the right mindset.
Mm. So, so now, what do you say to? Well, do you think it's easy to be a millionaire? Does it happen overnight? Can I become a millionaire tomorrow, or how does that work in terms of time?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can become a millionaire overnight in the, like, literal sense, meaning you can go from $0 in your bank account, get $1 million check because you have a business and you're a millionaire like that. However, I would say, before you even get to that moment, it's going to start with the shift here first. And that can be done overnight. And then the actual, manifestation of it just takes time, because everything in our world, even like Apple, $1 trillion company, it all started with an idea in somebody's head that we're gonna make this product, and then it comes out into the real world over time. So, for some people that may be, maybe you become a millionaire in a year. Maybe for another person, it might mean a decade, 2 decades. Doesn't matter so long as you get there, in my opinion. But as long as you are on the journey, you're sticking to the path, that's all that matters. And we all have different destinations we want to get to, because I'm not going to compare my vision of a successful life to yours, right? Because we have different goals as people. Like, one person might want to live by the water. Another guy just wants to live out in the country with his kids, basic, simple life, So, it all starts, like I said, in the mind. And can it change overnight? Yes. In the literal and the mental sense. But usually that physical sense is going to take a lot longer. Hope that hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that does. I mean, I guess I'll push back a little bit there. I guess my concern is, you have like, teenagers that are trying to be like influencers, and they're trying to get rich off of like Instagram and TikTok, right? Because that's all that they see, and they're trying to get that, right? But my concern with that is they may have unrealistic expectations, in that that stuff may not necessarily happen overnight. Like, to be an influencer, it takes time. You actually have to get a certain number of followers, a certain number of hours. You actually have to get sponsors,
Yep.
people that, you have to promote products. You actually have to be popular. So it's like, um, I you yes, you want to get in the right mindset, but you also want to be realistic in that, just because, this person did it, that doesn't necessarily mean you will,
Oh,
or in that same amount of time.
yeah, absolutely. No, I fully agree with you, and I just say the example. It could be a day, could be a year, could be a decade. It really is. It's gonna depend on the circumstances. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone's starting point is different. I have resources that probably some people really don't have. Um, you know, versus someone even may have more resources than I have. So I can't say our starting points are going to be the same. And I will also agree too that having realistic expectations is great. So that way you're not, disappointed as, the many setbacks of life happen, which they will. I think rather the focus should be like in the mindset that you're going to get to where you want to go to, regardless of how long it takes you. I believe that should be the focus. Because now, but at the same time, I don't believe you should be patient. I think you should
Mhm.
go for it as fast as you humanly can, like for your situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then even what you said earlier about being a millionaire overnight, I mean, technically you can get $1 million check, right?
Yep.
But it is rare. I just want us to be careful with, oh, I could just get $1 million. It's very rare, and that's if you get a really big investor. Um,
Yeah, realistically, it's gonna take a long time to get there, and a lot of well, I'll say this because it reminds me of a book I read. You can become a millionaire overnight, but it's not gonna be easy. I'll say
mhm.
that because it's usually gonna come with a lot of things that led up to that moment. Where you get that $1 million check that changes your whole life. Like for instance,
Mhm.
I'll use NBA players for example, or NFL players. They for from high school to college till the draft. That's maybe a decade or many years of training before they get that one moment where, all right, you get $1 million salary now. So I wouldn't say it's going to be easy, but it can happen overnight if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it can, right? But I will say that it's rare. That's one, and then two, it depends on what it is. It depends on what you're doing, because there's also, you could become a millionaire through legal means, or you can become a millionaire through illegal means, right?
I'm, I'm only thinking of league.
Legal means, okay. So I guess let's make that clear in terms of being a millionaire. we're talking about through legal activities, not crime activities.
Yep.
But let's get into the fixed mindset. We didn't even get to that. So,
Yep.
fixed mindset. How do you get there?
Yeah. So usually, if you're gonna have a fixed mindset, I'm probably gonna assume a few things about you. You most likely have people that have kind of instilled that in you, or maybe your life circumstances kind of made you think in that sense. So maybe you're the I don't know, you're the kid that's the scholar in school. You're getting all A's, so you think you're the smartest thing since sliced bread up until real life, smacks you in the face and you get into a class where you fail. Um, I think that could be one scenario, or even maybe not having people or circumstances challenge you enough in life to cause you to think outside of I'm only this and nothing else. Because usually, if you're going to have a fixed mindset, you have a pretty limited worldview. And so I'm going to also assume that you probably haven't had many experiences. You're probably the type of person, I'm just throwing out a hypothetical example here. You're probably the person who's never left their hometown, goes to the same, church or school or community, and
Hmm.
you've not ever had any moments that have, expanded your worldview, so to speak.
So a fixed mindset is something that you don't want to have.
Yep, you don't want to have it, just because it leaves you vulnerable. I'll say because like I mentioned with that same like scholar student, right? Imagine you for all 18 years of your life, you're killing it in school. You're just all A's, and then you get one class where you get an F. That can like ruin somebody's, reputation with themselves to the point like some kids get crazy enough to want to take their own life because of it, or they think that they get their degree and then they go hit the job market thinking they could get a six-figure salary, but really all they can get is just a normal dead end job, with their degree. So um, it it leaves you kind of vulnerable to just life kind of smacking you in the face and destroying your worldview of I'm the smart person, but oh, I'm no longer smart. I failed, so I must be a failure. And so it's definitely not something I would recommend someone to have. But I think there are certain places where it's appropriate to have a fixed mindset. So, for instance, maybe you are someone that prioritizes your health, right? Well, if someone tried to recommend you eating unhealthy, I think it's pretty cool for you to have a fixed mindset on I only want to eat healthy food, like for example's sake. So there's a time and place for it, but overall, I don't think you should have it in like all areas of your life. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so there's a time and a place, like there's a time and a place to have a fixed mindset. So when it comes to your health, for example, or um, you know, you know,
Relationships,
relation, right? Assuming you're practicing good morals
yeah,
for the relationship, and then there's a time to have a growth mindset where it comes to financial stability, where it comes to entrepreneurship, going to school, you always want to better yourself. So there's a time. It's not, you don't want a growth mindset all the time, right? You don't want a fixed mindset all the time. So there's a time and a place for both.
hmm
All right, all right. Well, this is wonderful. Well, we're going to start to wind things down. So, do you have any final words of wisdom, any parting words that you'd like to leave with us?
yeah, so absolutely. So in terms of mindset, it's just gonna all, like I mentioned, it's gonna come down to some self-awareness and just knowing like what's your ultimate goal for your life, not mine, not what your parents think it should be, not what your friends think it should be, not what your pastor thinks it should be. What is it that you are after? And then work towards that goal. And with the growth mindset, be mindful that you can achieve, whatever it is your heart desires. So long as, like I said, the goal should be to have those good morals, those good character traits, and also be willing to change, if you find a better path that makes sense for you. So, yeah, those are the only words I would really have for someone on mindset.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for those words. All right, so it is promo time. All right, so you guys, you can find Thurben James. He doesn't have a lot, so it's easy to remember. You could go to his website. It is thurbenjeanjames.podia.com if you want to learn more about him and all that he has to offer. You could also follow him on Instagram at Thur, the letter B, Zandbee, right? I'm spelling
Where's
that out.
the
And you could also follow him on LinkedIn. It is just his name, Thurben James. So I encourage you to stay in touch with him. I encourage you to follow him. Again, he just has an Instagram and his LinkedIn. So that information, you guys, is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. For my video people and for my audio people, I did not forget about you. Don't you worry about that. All of this information is in the description. So, however, you are taking in this episode, know that this information is at your fingertips. So, Thurben, can you? So you're just promoting your book, right? You don't have a business,
I have a business. It's on my website.
right? Okay.
Offer. I don't try to. I'm not one of these super salesy people. I'm just of the mindset. If you want my services and you're willing to pay the price tag, we'll go from there. If you have any questions, just message
Well,
me about it.
well, tell
I'm
us about your services. This is about you. So, what are your services? What do you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. Since I'm an author, I have a course on how to, self-publish your own book if you want to go that route. I offer mindset and coaching services for those looking to read more, as well as just, instill a mindset of success as well in your life. And also, I am happy to hop on other people's podcasts as well and do interviews. Eventually, I'll get into more speaking as well. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I also do multifamily real estate investing. So if someone's looking to invest capital in a deal and wants to just, passively earn income and grow wealth for you and your family, you can reach out to me about that as well.
Fabulous, fabulous. So you guys, if you guys want those coaching services, if you want all that he just said, reach out to him. I'm going to tell you the website again. It is thurbenjeanjames.podia.com. You could also follow him on Instagram and LinkedIn. So I encourage you to check him out, follow him on social media, check out his website. And I want to make sure that we get this. He has a book out right now. You can get it on Amazon. It is called How to Read 50 Books in a Year Like a CEO. And then after the colon, how to harness the treasure of books and become a more successful individual. So tell us about your book.
Absolutely. So my book stemmed from my personal reading journey. So the person I am today that you're listening to is all a result of reading, hanging with the right people, and I went from reading 10 books the first year I got started to reading 75 books the following year. I also, the most books I've read in a year prior to this year of 2022 was 75. And then I read 33 books in a month. And then this year I've read 100. And over the course of the last 5 years, I've read over 300 books, and the number's still rising. And my whole goal with the book is, if you're someone who's looking to create more success for your life and lead your life as the CEO, because you are the CEO of your life, you are the decision maker, you are ultimately responsible for your business, which is your life, how it goes, how profitable it is, how successful, happy, and flourishing it is. So yeah, with the book, I also give logical reasons for why I believe you should read more, and also some practical everyday tips for you to apply to become a better reader as well in your own life.
All right, fabulous. And you guys, you can go to Amazon right now. You can get that book right now on Amazon. So make sure you pick up a copy. The link to the book will be available in the description, but that book is available right now. So go check it out and
Yep.
purchase. Buy. Purchase a book.
I got it available in all formats: ebook, hardcover, paperback, audiobook. If you don't want to read, so physical book. So I got you guys covered.
All right. Beautiful. If you don't want you're trying to save paper, you don't want the hard copy, get the ebook, you guys. All of that is for you. All right, Thurben, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your words of wisdom and your insight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right, I'll place you backstage now. And you guys, it is just you and me. Let me get up my banner. All right, you guys. So that is it. We have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out our other episodes and don't forget to follow and subscribe. So, whatever platform that you are taking in this episode right now, whether it is on video or audio, please check out our other episodes and don't forget to follow and subscribe. And while you're at it, please let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section or in the comment thread. If you happen to be listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast or there's a Spreaker, there's a few other of those podcast platforms out there. Please drop us a rating. Let us know what you thought about this episode or our podcast. Drop us a rating, drop us a note, let us know. It definitely helps us out. So please help us out, help us to improve our algorithm. And as a reminder, this podcast is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you would like to learn more about us, our company, if you're looking for a tutor, maybe you're looking for a tutor, you want to improve your study skills or test prep skills, or you just need help overall, or not just you, but maybe your child as well. We do children and adults. Reach out to us. Our website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. You can also follow us on our various social media platforms, or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Eventbrite, WhatsApp. I think that's it. But check us out on all of our social media platforms and follow us on our social media platforms. And reach out to us that way as well. But I will once again give you our website. It is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. And I'm going to leave you with this final note. Hot Topics, our Hot Topics podcast, has a text list. I encourage you to sign up for it. Stay in touch with all of our episodes. You'll learn about all of our live episodes when they're coming up. You'll learn about whenever we drop our audio releases, anything and everything that is Hot Topics. I encourage you to sign up for our text list. How do you do that? All you do is text the code Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. Again, just text the code Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. All right, you guys, and that is it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Thank you, guys. And now I am signing off. Bye. Oh wait, sorry, I had to cut off my ending. I actually forgot this last note. I want to give a special shout out to Mary Chell Matthews. She sent us 200 Facebook stars. So I wanted to give her a special shout out. Thank you so much for your digital gift. It allows us to, keep our production going and our services as well. So shout out again to Mary Chell Matthews on Facebook. Uh, Thank you for sending us 200 Facebook stars. I definitely appreciate that. And for those of you watching this on Facebook Live, you can also send us Facebook stars as well. So thank you again to Miss Matthews. And I wanted to give that quick shout out. All right. Now I'm done. I'm going to replay my closing. See you next time. Bye.